Americans, and they went on this cruise, and I think something happened, and they were left behind in a foreign country, and they had to find their way back. But then the thing was, their passport and everything was
Yeah, on the ship.
on the ship.
Yeah.
And yeah, did you see that? Did you read about
I
that?
think I did. I think I
Yeah,
did fairly recently. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, what they try and do, they if they go to the British Embassy or whatever,
yeah,
they try and get you to the next or one after that port of call of the ship to get you back on the ship. So they do help you out. But obviously, if you miss the ship and it's got no more ports of call before getting back to where it started,
yeah,
then you're in problems. But normally the British Embassy would help you to overcome that. But the thing is, cruise ships, they do make it very clear when you go off the ship. They say, right, we're going to be sailing about 5 o'clock. It's not always 5 o'clock. Sometimes it's later in the evening, but that's when we're going. You must be back on the ship before 4:30, and
yeah,
they know who's not back on the ship. They do know that because you have to register your card when you rejoin the ship, and
yeah,
almost invariably on these things, at about 4:45, they put an announcement: if Mr. and Mrs. So and so or whatever are on the ship, would they please report to reception? Because they're clearly people who haven't got on. And I've actually, when we've docked with my balcony cabin looking on the dockside, in fact, this one recently we did, there were we could see a family. They've made an announcement. Is this family there, Mister? And then we saw them running. It's about 10 minutes before the ship sailed. We're running along with a pushchair and everything, and they just managed to get onto the ship. And the people by the gangway before they hauled the gangway in, they
whoa,
they saw them and they waited, but they don't wait, and I think that's absolutely right. If people knew, oh, you could be half an hour late, doesn't matter, the
yeah,
ships would never get away, and they worked a fairly tight deadline of sailing to the next port. So,
yeah,
so yeah, that does happen, but people have just got to be a bit careful, you know.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, this couple, it won their fault. They got compensation anyway, but it won their fault. So they got there. There was kind of like a shuttle bus or something. It was a shuttle bus, and they got there, and this guy said to them, "Well, this one's filled up. But there'll be another one coming along in the next
Right?
hour or something." But it never did. So that's how they.
Yeah. Well, that's bad luck, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is bad luck.
That's
Yeah.
that's how they missed out on. And it took them a while to then, get all the, you know,
Yeah.
papers together because they had all their credit cards or whatever on the, in the safe on the ship, and yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, so that just fueled my paranoia.
At least you know you're paranoid. I mean, that's something.
It fueled,
Was it just because just
yeah.
because because you're not no, what is it? Just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean that the Russians aren't following you. Something like that. Paranoia.
I hope not.
You hope not,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, I hope not. Yeah, because once they've got you on their radar, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you've
it.
had it.
Yeah, they don't even have to shoot you. They just, put something in your drink.
Yeah, frightening.
Yeah,
Frightening.
you're spending the next few days on the hospital bed fighting for your life.
No
Yeah.
thanks. No thanks. That's good.
There was something that I saw. So there was this millionaire, and she was afraid of being kidnapped. And then what she did was the bodyguards, they put a tracker under her skin. So in case she was
Oh
stripped of
wow.
everything she had, you know.
Yeah.
And what these kidnappers did was they hacked into the tracking system, and
Wow.
they were able to track her. So, technology is not that. It's still in its teething stage, let me just put it that way. So yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that sounds like an
Let me just put it that way, So, yeah,
I mean,
uh,
that sounds like an inside job. But how would they have known she had this? So presumably somebody who knew she had a tracker under her skin
it does sound like an
was
inside job.
involved in the kidnap attempt, I
Yeah,
would think.
yeah, yeah. It does sound like an inside job. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then well, this one's a movie actually. So this guy had one of these state-of-the-art cars that you can drive around. Well, we used to call
right.
it state-of-the-art, but it's now commonly accessible. And somebody hacked into the dashboard, the electronic dashboard, and was able to control the car whilst they was driving it.
Wow, that's frightening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm not scaring you, Trevor. This is
No, you're not. No, I'm just wondering what might be on your bucket list if you made one. I mean, would it be today I'm going to venture into the bedroom or going into the dining room later on? Is that the limit of it?
I was
Or otherwise, what would you have on your bucket list?
I'm going to say this, Trevor.
Yeah,
During
I'm
COVID,
listening.
during COVID, I was in my comfort zone. I thought, you know what?
Lots down at home. Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
go out. Well, there you go. I was like, right, so I can venture into the kitchen, the bedroom, watch some telly, and yeah, I felt right at home. I did feel like going out sometimes, which I did.
yeah.
But I was happy with that. Um, but it doesn't mean that I don't like company. It's just, you know, I like to be safe. I like to be where I know I'm safe. I'll tell you how bad it is. If somebody knocks on my door, I don't go to the door. If you know me, ring me. Give
Unless
me
you get
a
a spy hole, you need a spy hole, don't you? But then again, if you know them, you're not going to let them in, perhaps. So,
yeah.
is there nothing that would go on your bucket list? Is there
Oh yeah, there
nothing
are things that
outside?
would go on my bucket list. Um, and that would be staying at Hyde Park, one of the hotels in Hyde Park, one of those ones you pay 25 grand a night.
Yeah.
That I would love to just to experience that. I
Yeah,
would
I was
love that.
reading the other day actually that about, in fact, in Mayfair, which is sort of close to that, one of the richest areas of London,
Yeah.
that this become a bit like tent city with homeless people and
Oh
druggies
yeah.
outside these big hotels, and it's a bit like San Francisco. That's another place which is just loads of homeless people in tents, very often struggling with drugs and things like that. So yeah, lots of these wealthy places. I don't know whether they pitch their tents there where they sleep in the hope of getting some good tips from the rich
Yeah, that's
clients who walk by, but yeah, it's not quite so
glamorous.
as good as you might think, as it used to be. But
Yeah,
but that's probably a problem that's in lots of cities over the world at the moment. There's a lot of homeless people,
that's very
so
true.
that's not great at all, is it?
Yeah. Right. So this is all we've got time for on the
Right.
Alien Spaceship. So do you want to conclude, my bruv?
Yes, indeed. Well, that was Cuz and Bruv. That's me and Emmy discussing various things, which we hope you found some interest in. I hope I've convinced a few people maybe to try going on a cruise. And I hope Emmy may think about that one day in the future. But there we are. We've had a good time. Hope you've enjoyed it. So I've been Trevor Gear, and my friend is,
And I've been Emmy Hikins. And you've been watching and listening to the Alien Spaceship talk show. It's goodbye from me.
and it's goodbye from me.
Yeah, beautiful.